Hi everybody, Jeff here, and today I'd like to talk to you about the problem with pardons. Essentially, yes, this is brought up by the fact that U.S. President Joe Biden pardoned his son for a period of 10 years, stretching back to 2014, pretty much for the entirety that Joe Biden was vice president, and then on to his run in presidency. This is just It's one of those things that a president can do, and I'm not exactly sure where it came from, the presidential pardon, and I don't even know exactly the rules over it. The problem I have with it is there are no rules, and there are no way to go, wait a minute, that guy shouldn't get pardoned, she shouldn't have gotten pardoned. There's no way to call that back, check on it. It's one of those things in the U.S. Constitution which was intended to be ruled and governed by the dictates of what a gentleman would do. A respectable gentleman would not do certain things because it would be just simply dishonorable. And that was, I think, a lot of why there's a lot of things which they didn't quite overly regulate, because to them, no gentleman would do that. No respectable gentleman would do that. You would be shunned and you would be shamed for doing certain things. That's why they didn't say you can't do that. I mean, one of the things that I questions I have about the pardon is, let's say I don't really like Frank for whatever reason, right? I'm the president, and I want Frank dead. So I hand a gun to Bob and say, Bob, go kill Frank. Bob goes out, shoots Frank right in the middle of the street. Oh my goodness. Bob gets arrested, tried, convicted, or even he pleads guilty. I go, great, I pardon Bob. Done. Could that be done? And if so, why? Or can you pardon yourself? Again, it was one of those things that you didn't have to say that because no respectable gentleman would do that. So now we have a case where the president pardons his son, not just for, that incident with a gun and tax evasion and some minor tax evasion stuff or whatever. No. Blanket pardon for anything that happened while Joe himself was president and vice president. Why did you feel the need? Oh, well, you see, Jeff, it's because they could weaponize the courts and to go after him. They're going to do it because Trump is evil. I don't support either side. To that I say, you mean like you did to Trump? Every court cases, criminal cases, civil cases, anything to stop him, to smear him from getting him to run. And it's like, how is that not election interference? I mean, the whole thing with I've heard conflicting reports over the one that he was convicted over, the fact that he overinflated the value of a building. I've heard on one side where the bank said, we're good, we don't care, it happens all the time. And the value of commercial real estate is fluid because what exactly is it worth? And it's one of those weird things where they're never really paid off. They're always just you're just going to keep refinancing it and paying the interest. That's a bizarre thing. So they said, no, we're good. There's nothing done. And the prosecutor said, no, see, there's a crime, so we have to charge him, and it's a felony, so we can try to, again, like him or not like him, why is it the fact that, well, if we don't like him, we can use the justice system against him to stop him from running it to be president or for prime minister or whatever? It shouldn't work that way. If we like him, you can run. If we don't like them, you can't run. We don't like that's, again, democracy is what the people decide. That's the entire point. If they want to vote whoever, they should be able to vote for whoever. It should be a free and fair election. And the point that you structure it so that even if the devil himself becomes president, there's only so much they can do, because there are structures and laws and checks and balances so that there's only so much that they can do. They're not the king. That's why you have the president. That's why you have the president separate from the Congress. And the Congress is split between representation by geography in the Senate and representation by the House, by population in the House, to separate it out. And you have the judicial branch, which is stopping and saying, hang on a second, that's against the rules. Three-ring circus. Changes need to be made as to how the Supreme Court justices are appointed, because they're now very politicized, where they're not supposed to be politicized. I always find it funny that, this person's a conservative judge and a liberal judge. I'm sorry, that should have no bearing whatsoever. You're there to interpret the law, not just as you see it. Well, I like it this way, and I think you should do this. So no. Pure, impartial, detached from all emotion or your personal feelings. Just interpret the law. That's it. So why should I care whether you're conservative or liberal? Unless, because if you're twisting the interpretation of the law to fit your own personal biases, your own personal feelings, that's wrong. But what do I know? So the whole problem I have with this whole pardoning thing is the fact that he could do it and there are no rules around how to do it. So it's an allowable abuse of power because he just pardoned his son, blanket pardon for anything. And again, in so doing, kind of pardoned himself because it's well known that those two were, that Hunter was running around selling influence to his, access to his father and the influence of his father for the benefit of the both of them. That is the whole other discussion. So it's an area which needs to be looked at. How the heck does the president get executive authority? How is it regulated? Where does it come from? What are the limitations on it? Because in this modern age, we can't rely on, well, no respectable gentleman would do that, so we don't have to overly regulate it. Well, you do, because you don't write it for the noble leader, King Richard the Lion-Hearted. Oh, the noble leader who would never do anything wrong because it is always the right thing to do. He will always do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. He loves his people, benevolent, pure, again, in fiction, right? You write the laws for the evil Prince John, who will always do the horrible, who's selfish and manipulative and power hungry and greedy, and he always wants more. Oh, you write the laws to limit that guy, even though Prince John had to do levy all the taxes and so forth because he had to pay for all the crusades that King Richard, his brother King Richard, was on, and kept sending letters back going, "Give me more cash, send me more cash, send me more cash." So it was actually King Richard who was responsible for the punishment of the people. Anyways, you write the rules for the bad evil ruler so that you can go, okay, he's in charge, but he can't do much because we have these rules in place. And you have to have checks and balances so you can avoid these abuses of power, even if it's, oh, well, yeah, we have to because it's my son and he's going to use it against me and so forth. Here's a thought, just a wild thought, crazy thought, because what do I know? Don't commit crimes in the first place so you don't need to be pardoned for them. There you go. So that's pretty much my rant for today. Is I understand both sides, and it's my real issue is the fact that it was possible, that there's no checks and balances, there's no way for Congress to say, no, you can't do that. There needs some tweaking and improving, and as my plan to fix Canada involves a method to help and enable the Americans, because again, I believe in self-determination. It's up to Americans to define and determine their government. So my method is to help, as we're retooling, rejiggering, and revamping our governmental system, a side effect would be to help improve the American system. Help the Americans improve the American system. Be very clear about it. It's not for me to tell the Americans how to run their government, how to structure the government. It's for the Americans. What I want to do is empower the American people to do that. If you can help me, help me. Again, I need the meeting with the premiers, all 13 of them. And as yet, not one person from any of their offices have reached out to me. Not one. And that's rather telling. Again, ignore him. He'll go away. You don't want me to go away. The people don't want me to go away. Because then, well, we clomp towards authoritarianism. And I don't really trust that Polyev I have a lot of questions about about Pierre, and I think I'll maybe talk about that tomorrow. I don't know. Questions about both of them. Don't like either.